personally, of course, very proud for the nation. Elections are done and that's it. We're moving forward.
As a party, you've been speaking on behalf of the party. You are a young man that is coming to parliament. We've always seen in the past old people. What does this say about this new parliament?
Well, I've seen a lot of young people coming through the ranks of the party, and the majority of them are now in parliament. I'm one of them as well. It says a lot, not about ourselves as young people, but about the senior leadership of the party, particularly the president himself. Remember, in 2018, exactly after his inauguration, in 2018, the president said he was going to ensure that the party also carries the young people on board to ensure that we have what we call generational blending in all structures of government. And being here today is a testament of exactly what the president promised and what he said. And here we are today. It's very refreshing. We hope that we are going to discharge ourselves very well in Parliament now that we are now part of the national leadership from a legislative perspective. I'm sure we are going to rise, all of us, above party, petty differences to put the nation and our people forward. I just hope we are going to do that.
What would you aspire to see changed or brought into this new parliament?
Well, this is my first time to be here, so honestly, I'm not the right person to speak about change in parliament or what may necessarily need to be altered, because this is my first time, so I don't know exactly what was in there. So today was exactly my maiden day into parliament, so I haven't really seen a lot, but except that as an outsider figure, one thing that of course I disdained and was embarrassing to watch was an unnecessary howling, haranguing, and all forms of sheepish behavior, particularly as displayed then by the opposition. I'm sure it was not a good sign, and I hope that our colleagues from the opposition will change that behavior. Now that they've also changed, I think they are capable of changing. That is why they talk so much about change. They said initially they were not going to come for the inauguration, that they were going to forgo parliament and then demand a fresh election roundly. But today they are here. I'm sure they changed overnight. I expect them to change overnight. And as far as that behavior is concerned, that is the behavior of howling, haranguing. I don't think that those who voted for us would expect us to discharge our duties in an August House like this in that manner. So I just hope they are going to change.
Do you reckon that in this new parliament and the new government that is coming, do you reckon that the opposition will be actively involved in terms of beyond participating in parliament? Do you expect?
I think the president is a very inclusive man, a very listening man. So everything about what will happen, I'm sure, depends on the president, and most importantly, also on the behavior of the opposition itself. Remember, they actually say it's one thing to take a dog to the river, it's another thing to force it to drink water. You can't do that. So I'm sure everything else lies within the province of the responsibilities of the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Comrade Mnangagwa, and his discretion is empowered by the Constitution. So, of course, I can't really speak his mind on that.
But as a representative of the younger generation, the youth, what is your dream? What do you think will come out from this, the 10th Parliament?
Well,
focusing particularly on the youth.
I hope that we are not going to have a variety of talk shows inside there. That is why earlier on I spoke about constructive debate, constructive engagement between and among political parties represented in Parliament, with a desire to see things happening, to transform things, not just to come here and start talking too much.
But specifically for the average youth that you speak for, irrespective of what party they or party affiliation, what is it that you think this Parliament will deliver to the youth out there?
Well, Parliament doesn't essentially deliver, but essentially deliver. the tangibles on the youth. It is incumbent on a legislator as an individual. Remember, this Augusta House is a legislative.
You are
Augusta,
you are the legislator.
Listen.
What is it that you are going to do for the youth?
Very good. That's what I wanted. That's where I wanted to bring you to, because this is a legislative house. It does not essentially deliver on the ground, essentially, but it focuses on providing legislative framework and passing legislation that enables us to deliver. So I'm just hoping that we are going to be, all of us, effective to deliver on the constituencies where there are a lot of young people, the majority of whom had lost opportunities. You know, we must tap on to the government programs existing and currently ongoing. For example, in the area of agriculture, I will tell you that in Buhera West, we have said we are going to prioritize nutrition gardens through an accelerated program of borehole drilling as supported by the presidential borehole drilling scheme. We have started doing that in villages to ensure that every village has that facility. If we capacitate every village with water for drip irrigation, I cannot tell you that what we see youth doing from Murewa, bringing goods and commodities to Mbari, we can do that from Buhera West as well. There's nothing that can stop us from doing that.
What are your timelines for that, for the delivery of that?
Of course, the time hasn't been enough for us to sit down to deliberate on short-term, long-term, and of course, average-term programs. Because remember, we're just coming from an election, then an inauguration, and then we are here today. The time frames are not my discretion. They, of course, have got to involve myself and the constituents itself. But I can tell you that some boreholes we have already delivered. So far, we have delivered 15 boreholes. 2 of them have already been erected. I'm sure you have followed the story of Mnangagwa. It is one of my a village in my constituency. We've already started doing that. But of course, above all, we are going to ensure that we bring opportunities in rural areas where we come from, so that we do not want to see a situation where you think that everything starts and ends in Harare or in town centers. So we'll bring Harare in rural areas by way of both facilities, services, and opportunities for young people. Talk of welding, talk of agriculture, talk of a lot of opportunities that even those that were thought about to be secluded to Harare alone or to major cities, we'll take them back home to ensure that we give them something to smile and a reason to smile.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.